Veterans Day. Thank the veterans for their services, including our own, old Zeno. Should we give Zeno the first question today since it's Veterans Day?
My neighbor.
He's not ready.
Yeah, he's nervous.
He's always ready. He stay ready. You don't have to get ready because you stay ready.
Exactly. I was trained to be ready. The setback loss, when you reevaluate things overall in the big picture, how do you kind of put it all back together? And is this kind of a loss that refocuses you guys going forward?
You know, Zeno, you identify what happened, right? That was a game of the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? There was a lot of good, right? Particularly from the second quarter on both sides of the ball, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams. And then there was some bad, right? There was the individual things that happen when you get beat on a one-on-one, whether it be a corner getting beat, whether you get beat up front from a guard standpoint or a tackle, whether you get beat on special teams when you're talking about the execution of a field goal. And then there was some ugly, getting a field goal blocked. You know, that's ugly. Not doing the right things when you're supposed to do. You know, getting beat on a quick snap by the Saints for a touchdown, things of that nature. Those things are ugly. Those are the things you want to eliminate. And just go back to normal football where you got a lot of good. There's always going to be bad because that's our game. And then how do you clean those things up and get better and better in order to go out here and get you another win before you bye. Well-deserved bye for these guys.
Yeah, Coach, just want to check in with you how you are physically coming out of that game. So I'm sure you leave off by the, and most everybody else came back in except for Hughes, I believe.
Yeah, sure. Troy left out of there, you know, obviously, you know, had his re-aggravated a little bit on that one play you guys saw on the big 34-yard screen. Probably the best play they had in the second half for those guys. And he was able to get out and play about 13 snaps or something like that. But we'll get a chance to reevaluate him today and tomorrow and do some of the things of that nature. You know, obviously Mike left the game with the contusion. I forget what it was actually called. I don't know, whatever, neck contusion or whatever he had. But, you know, obviously he's had an MRI today and it's been cleared and been good to go. So I'm expecting him to be back with us and doing all the things that he can do for us. Drake made it through the game, you know, really good. You know, tough week for him, having to deal with the injury all week. But never questioning that kid's toughness and his character and who he is as a competitor and wanting to play the game the right way. Who else are you talking about here?
The other guys, TQ came back.
TQ not so good. Obviously, we'll have the full report out here soon whenever he puts that out, but not great. Obviously, he had the injury to his pec, so we'll see what that is. And then who else you mentioned? TQ and who else? JSW went down yesterday, and not great either. We'll have some things there that we have to talk about and reevaluate over the course of the next couple of days with him.
And then Chris, of course, came back.
Chris came back in the game. I think he got the wind knocked out of him. You know, Chris probably knocked the wind out of himself, knowing Chris. Punched himself in the ribs.
You blitzed at a pretty high rate yesterday. Did you have the returns you wanted on those plays? And it seemed like there were a few times where it looked like they gave away the blitz a little bit early. Derek Carr maybe got him in a good job to reveal some of that. What did you see out of that part of the defense yesterday?
I don't know. I know which plays you're talking about, Will.
There was one in particular where it looked like Justin was coming up from his safety spot.
What D&D was it?
I don't know.
No, I was asking because that matters on what you're trying to stop. You know, like some of those things.
The 3rd and 14 one.
Yeah, some of those things are designed to, like, you know, we don't care. You know, we're going to get up there and do it and, you know, not let you run the ball with Alvin Kamara. The 3rd and 14, Justin, he did a nice job of giving us a dummy call on that play. Got him up there. He exposed that blitz to able to change the protection, and he threw a nice throw out to the right, which should have been better contested, and actually was not a great throw by David, but Carr. And I tell him to his face because we're good with each other. But he got lucky. The receiver made a really good catch for him, but we should definitely stop that play regardless of them changing the protection or not on that 3rd and 14. We got to win those downs. That's part of the ugly.
Do guys take losses differently? I mean, you go back to the Seattle game, it just, you know, didn't execute well, didn't look clean, wasn't the typical brand of football you guys have played all year long.
Sure.
You know, this one seemed, at least from the outside, it was some of that same sort of lack of execution, lack of sharpness and quality, as you talked about a moment ago.
Really early was the lack of execution. You know, it was like you get the ball, you get that first 3rd down. What a great execution by Ray on that first 3rd down going across the middle. Great throw by Kurt. And then we come back with our screen and go play. And if we hit that thing, you're rolling on offense. We're not talking the same way. We're not talking about the slow start. We're not talking about The execution, like the Seattle game, is a little bit different, but we didn't. So it is an execution thing like you're talking about, but you missed the key things like that third down, which keeps that drive going, and who knows what happens after that, and you're ready to go. But definitely on defense, with that first play of the game, it was like the ugliest play you can actually have that luckily got called back and was just reduced to where that holding penalty got us. And then another ugly play right after that in the bad run fit. But then after that, man, they seemed to settle down and go down the field a little bit methodically, and we were able to stop them on that big-time 4th and 2. But the defense really settled in after that and got going. You know, obviously had the one miscue, which we talked about, the third down and I believe 6, where they came out, quick snap through the pass down the field to Van Dell Scouting, and they beat us on one-on-one play earlier in that game down the field and made a big-time play. But, you know, other than that, man, they play really well, and we got to do a better job executing early in some of those plays and often in order to get it down. And really yesterday, the what was me happened on offense was the red zone, right? 1 for 3, I believe it was, and that's what we've become accustomed over here the last couple of weeks of scoring touchdowns, and that's what they've been doing a great job of. And some of it yesterday was us setting ourselves back, whether it was the Burge, I believe, when he jumped off sides, or the false start, and then or the illegal block down the field on Chris, which would be another ball on the 1-yard line, which we're arrogantly running the football in again.
Raheem, 3 sacks 2 weekends ago. But yesterday, you felt like Carr was under duress the entire game, and certainly from the second quarter on. Would you consider that as a continued progress in that regard as far as harassing the quarterback? I know you didn't get him on the ground, but
Sure.
would you call it a step back because you didn't get sacks?
It wasn't a step back. It's like you said, it was a different game. You know, obviously when you play the Kyle Shanahan type of system that New Orleans has adapted from the Kubiak, I don't even want to call it the Kubiak-Shanahan system. You know, it's always going to be a different game. You know, you're talking about running the football. You're talking about being ready for those guys to run the ball in some of the second long situations. I know you guys seen yesterday the shift to a wildcat play, running that ball in some of those known pass situations. A lot of time yesterday you come out some third down, you're seeing some eye back, you're seeing some dot, you're seeing all types of different things. So they're not going to let you just rush the passer on some of the normal D&Ds. They're going to keep you off balance that way. Then when he did, Carr did a nice job of stepping away from some pressure, throwing it away. You know, obviously got the one illegal throwaway, but the guys did a nice job of staying after him, not letting him get comfortable, and not let him just dial us up. You know, obviously, other than the few, we had the nice, really 2 big plays back to back, which were outstanding for him.
Coach, I got to ask this question. I'm not doing my job, so forgive me. I know you made your comment yesterday on your way and your confidence in it.
Yep.
Statistically, his percentage has gone down 3 of the last 4 years, and 1 year it didn't held the same. From 40 and above over the last 3 years, he's gone from 76 to 70, and now 57 this year. Confidence aside, if that was a trend in any other area of the game, you would certainly address it.
Yeah.
You would look at it and go, okay, we need to change something here. Obviously, the only thing with a kicker is to change the actual person, so it doesn't, you know, that's not as easy a decision. But I guess with the in-game management and those trends and those numbers, how does it affect your decision as a coach when you go for it, when you don't go for it, when you put them out there, those types of things? I mean, you have to take it into consideration, no?
No doubt. No, Steno, that is a tough question. But the only thing I can answer that is like your belief in that person, right? So if you just look at numbers, you're spot on. Fair assessment, fair to say those things. But when you're talking about Younghoe Koo, you're talking about the guy that sent us in the overtime with a 50-yard field goal to go win it in overtime versus Tampa. You're talking about a guy that won the time last time we played in New Orleans, kicked the game winner as a walk-off. You're talking about a guy that's been clutch for us over the last couple of years. In those moments, in those big moments, there's going to be times where you don't have all the success you want to have. And we still got a lot of football to play, right? So those percentages, I believe, will go back up because of who he is and what he's all about. And that's just me, right? I just said it yesterday with, you know, I got Steph Curry on my team, and he's having a slump right now or a slump in that day. I'm not moving on from Steph because he missed some threes the same way they shouldn't have moved on from his other light-skinned buddy. But we love young Koo and what he's able to do, and you know, just a bad day for us yesterday in the operation and his own personal development and everything else.
It's hard to answer the question just because game to game how it unfolds. You don't know.
100%. But you're right though. When you look at those stats, that's definitely alarming. That's definitely something that, you know, fortunately for us, we know he doesn't get into that world. You know, he's a mentally tough, sharp dude that's going to go out there and go execute and do everything he needs to. You know, line up and kick the ball and make them. You know, I've been in a situation like this before when I had old Matt in Tampa, and we had those same kind of questions about coming off injury, and he came down to Atlanta and had another 12-year career, whatever it was down here. And, And I remember looking at that. But Younghoe Koo, man, is one of those guys that's mentally tough. He's sharp, he's focused, and he's able to go out there and win football games for us at any time. And if I'd have got another step, I was going to let him fly, let him have a redemption Sunday on you. So my confidence is at a high level with him.
Is there anything technically that special teams? I mean, I know they diagnosed it.
I'm not gonna pretend. I'm not gonna pretend to have the wherewithal about the kicking aspect of it all. You know, I'm like you when I'm on that one. It's just what's the result. But there's definitely some things that, you know, him, Keese, I'm sure Koo has a kicking coach and all those things that they talk to and they talk about, and let them go through that. It'd be like talking about the quarterback throwing mechanics. You know, Phillip Rivers still ain't throwing the ball right, but he just managed to be one of the better quarterbacks in this league forever. But it's just one of those things, man. It's like you got to let him sort his way through that, and I believe will. And when you watch it, what you don't have is percentage from practice, you know, and his percentage from practice are still at a very high level. And what he's doing, and yesterday definitely knocked this thing down a big notch, you know, I'm sure.
Thank you.
I can't believe how embarrassed you get to ask these questions, man. What's wrong with you? You starting to like me too much.
It's not, but I try to be nice. You know, there are times when I'm not as nice as I know.
You don't have to be. The only people, Will has to be nice. He works with me.
Well, that's true. I got paid nice. Trust me, if I got paid nice. It's like a government job, different.
Coach,
Yes.
is there an overarching, you like to say you win or you learn a lesson. Is there an overarching lesson from yesterday's game, or is it more about those micro lessons, kind of the bad and the ugly?
You better learn from every single game, right? And for us, it's like you don't have to press in order to win games. You just need to do what you're supposed to do. And like for us, that's like one of the main things. It's like coming out early. I don't know what that anxiety is on defense, not as to get us to play like we did from the second quarter on. What is that? You know, what is it on offense when we don't execute those few plays that stall drives? Well, what is that? What is it when we don't get the snap, the kick, the hold, the operation, everything the way you want to have it? So, like, let's go find those things out and let's go apply it to the next game. And you got to apply that mindset to everything you want to do and how you want to go about your business. And I love it. The atmosphere yesterday was something that you can learn from. The energy in that building, like I talked about, the increased urgency that was going to come from that football team is something you can learn from, because you can't tell me you didn't feel the increased urgency from the snap one with those guys and everything they were doing and how emotionally it was. I mean, I seen Joe Woods across on a big-time field goal miss, just pumping it up and going in hard. But that's stuff you got to learn from when you're a football team that wants to win and wants to win big.
You saw that coming last
Yes.
week. You know, you stood here and you said this is what we expect to see, and you saw it. So do you think that's something that players have to just kind of experience firsthand to feel that for next time, or how do you change that moving forward?
You try to simulate it as much as you can, you know, until you get there and able to show them and able to go through and do it. It's going to be a little "I told you so" effect. But our guys, man, they are resilient. They are tough. Like we talked about from the very beginning of the season, the pivot, persist, and deal. They're the definition of that. And I can't wait to see how they respond this week.
Speaking of this week, you won't say it, but I won't. This is probably the best defense we faced since the opening week against Pittsburgh. At least, you know, the tenacity of what they just held Patrick Mahomes to 16 points in the Chiefs. So obviously they're doing something. They've done that all season long. For a step up in class when it comes to defense, you know, what you do, I mean, is it as simple as, you know, if you feel confident enough that if you run your game plan, you execute well, you're going to have success, or do you have to change things against the defense?
I got so much respect, first of all, for Vance, Joseph, and what they've been able to do on defense. It's been really fun to watch. But I got so much expectations for our offense and their ability to execute at a high level. I mean, Mooney to Bijan to Tyler Algier to Kyle Pitts to Drake London. We've all seen them do things at the highest level. And if we ever get them all going at the same time at a high level, Kirk Cousins back there quarterback and our O-line blocking the way they block at a high level, whether it be pass pro or run blocking, because they've shown both, right? We're going out and pass pro for 500-plus yards to be able to go out there and run it for almost 2 in 2 different games. So I got such a high level of confidence in us being able to go out there and find whatever we need to do that day, along with our coaches, and being able to orchestrate a game plan to go out there and to attack whatever weaknesses that they have on Denver, and to find a way to get that thing to happen for us on Sundays and find ways to orchestrate wins no matter how it's going to happen. Like, we've done it, so I got a lot of confidence going out there and playing against other people.
are you all gonna go out early to get adjusted to the altitude, or just try to go in and play and deal with it that way?
Now we're going to land, wake up, and play. That's what the science says. I'll stick with that.
Okay, and then, you know, how are they doing with the rookie quarterback and Coach Payton getting his second year out there and getting them going?
This is a Wednesday question, D-Led, but
Yeah, but I got a Tuesday
I'm nosy.
story.
I'm nosy.
I got a Tuesday story though. So.
I'm nosy, so I get a chance to tell you that you know, Nix is playing really well, right? We got a chance to evaluate him throughout this process. I'm going as a quarterback, and he's definitely a guy that was a competitor. He was sharp. He was fun to be around, and it looks like that's how he's playing. He's feisty. He's got an edge to him. He's not afraid to use his legs. He's learning every single day. He's got a growth mindset about him. He's got a coordinator and head coach that I got so much respect for. Been able to go against those guys for years. Don't like him either. And it should be a lot of fun to go play against those guys.
Wednesday question again with Peyton. I mean, you've had so much experience against him. Tendency-wise, do you feel like you have an idea of certain things, despite the fact different offense, different quarterback? Is there anything tendency-wise you can hold on to from him?
Anytime you play somebody who has as much of a tape as Peyton, you always feel like you know something tendency-wise. But their deal is execution. And when you're a really good football team, they go out and execute better than their opponents a lot of the times. And he did it for years in the Saints, and he's trying to do that right now in Denver. So, you know, we got to go out there and prove that our knowledge and the tendencies that we got from him come to life.
I'm just I'm fascinated by the land, wake up, and play and the science.
Yes.
Fall under the category of I trust the science and that's what it tells me, or can you elaborate on that a little bit?
No, we always collaborate with a bunch of different people when it comes to that. We kind of talked about it last week with D-Led, but like there's a bunch of different people that you collaborate in how you practice, how you play, you know, how do you travel. I mentioned this last week. I said travel people are involved. Equipment is involved. I mean, it's everything, you know. Everything we do, you know, from getting the normal routine that you're used to, sleeping in your bed on Fridays, all those things play a big part of best performance for our generation of athletes. And use all that science and try to get everybody to the proper spot to be at the best mode to be ready to go out there and perform.
Sorry for the repeat question.
That's okay.
Anything else?
Won't be a different answer.
Thanks, y'all.
All right, thanks, man.